as usual, and welcome to the latest episode of Mystery Unsolved. You know my name, you know the game, but why are we here tonight? Tonight's episode, I had to change it up a little bit. What it was originally intended for didn't quite add up, wasn't really a mystery as I looked further into it. So tonight's episode will be on the Overtone Bridge. Just what is the Overtone Bridge? Well, I will get to that. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to read. Without further ado, Mystery Unsolved, the Overtone Bridge. Little background. The Overtone Bridge is a Category B listed structure over the Overtone Burn on the approaching road to the Overtone House near Dumbarton in West Dunbartonshire, Scotland. So it's in Scotland. Would it be annoying if I just read this entire video? Did this entire video in my Scottish accent? I'm not going to do that. It was completed in 1895 based on a design by the landscape architecture of H.E. Milner. Here's why we're here. Since the 1950s, numerous reports of dogs either falling or jumping from the bridge have been reported, with the incidents often resulting in serious injury or death upon landing on the rocks some 50 feet below. The bridge has been nicknamed the Dog Suicide Bridge. Various explanations for these deaths have been proposed, ranging from natural accidents to paranormal activity. You heard that right. We are here tonight because the mystery at hand is dogs falling to their deaths, jumping off this bridge. Dogs, canines, man's best friend. Weird, right? That's why we're here tonight. During the 1950s, locals started referring to the bridge as the Bridge of Death or the Dog Suicide Bridge, as it was reported that dogs were leaping from the bridge into the ravine below. So even in the 50s, this is that that's how long this has been happening. Also, even in the 50s is where the name originated. So this isn't just like a new nickname. Like they've had this nickname for this bridge since the 50s. The story gained more prominence during the late 2000s and early 2010s. Since the original incidents were reported, at least 50 dogs have died from the fall, but over 600 have jumped but still survived. I'll let you take that number in. 50 dogs reportedly died jumping off this bridge. 600 have jumped in total, and they still survived. In 2004, Kenneth Michael was walking with his family and golden retriever when the dog suddenly bolted and jumped off the bridge. It survived but was traumatized by the experience. Going into 2005, at least 5 other dogs also jumped off the course of 6 months. In 2014, Alice Trevorrow, who was walking with her Springer Spaniel named Cassie, reported a strange experience on the Overtone Bridge. I had parked up and she is so obedient. I didn't put her lead. Sorry. I had parked up. What? Parked up? Is that a Scottish thing? I had parked up and she is so obedient. I didn't put her lead on. Me and my son walked towards Cassie, who was staring at something above the bridge. She definitely saw something that made her jump. There is something sinister going on. It was so out of character for her. So let's stop for a moment. She definitely saw something. Hold on. She was staring at something above the bridge. She definitely saw something that made her jump. So she saw something above. So the dog was kind of like looking up. Whoops, sorry. The dog was kind of like looking up at like seeing something. I always forget, whenever I'm on video, I always forget my left and my right. I do it constantly. Okay. Proposed explanations. Well, God knows we need one because the fact that over 600 dogs are jumped off this bridge, injuring themselves and even killing themselves, is baffling. A number of theories have been proposed as to the behavior of the dogs on the bridge. In 2014, canine psychologist David Sands proposed that the surrounding foliage, given the in reality extremity steep drop off the side of the bridge, the appearance or even ground, combined with the combined with the residual odor from male mink urine in the area, could culprit for the luring dogs to jump off the bridge. I'm gonna read that again. I feel like we need a second read on that. He proposed the surrounding foliage that's leaves and stuff, giving the in reality extremely steep drop off the side of the bridge, the appearance of even ground, combined with the residual odor from male mink urine in the area, could be the culprit for luring dogs to jump off the bridge. Okay. So the side of the bridge appears to look like even ground. So to a dog, the dog's probably not, the dog knows it's on a bridge, but at the same time, it might be looking at the side of it and being like, oh, let me see what that is. And they smell something, which would be the number two thing. And they're just going right there. In a male mink, oh, minks are kind of like rodents. Weasels, otters, or ferrets. Okay. Very strange. This theory was protested by a local hunter and resident of 50 years, John Joyce, who stated that there were no mink in the area. However, an investigation by the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, Officer David Sexton, found that one end of the bridge reportedly favored by dogs contained nests of mice, squirrels, and minks. Furthermore, in an experiment in which 10 dogs were exposed to the canisters filled with it should be mice, squirrel, and mink sen, 7 of the dogs all went straight for the mink sen, many of them quite dramatically. That's interesting. First of all, what would make one even think of running such a test? I mean, obviously this would happen, but what would make you think like, hey, we really got to get to the bottom of this. Hey, I know, let's do an experiment. Let's get 10 dogs, put them on the bridge, or let's give them that odor. Let's see what happens. The Scottish Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals has investigated the bridge and surrounding area, but none of their findings proved conclusive. So obviously, you know, the Scottish Society for Animal Cruelty, pretty much, they came in, they looked at this bridge, and they're like, let's see if we can find anything off about this bridge, anything off putting or on putting that's compelling dogs to just jump right off of it. And they didn't find anything conclusive. Well, it wasn't inconclusive, but none of their findings. Though, yeah, it was inconclusive. Just the way that was worded. In 2019, the owners of the Overtone house, Bob and Melissa Hill, said that in 17 years of residing at the house, they had witnessed a number of dogs become agitated, jump up, and fall from the bridge. Bob Hill, originally a pastor from Texas, stated that the scent of mink, pine martens, and other animals agitated the dogs, resulting in their jump onto the bridge wall. The dogs catch the scent of mink, pine martens, or some other mammal, and then they will jump on the wall off they will jump on the wall of the bridge, and because it's tapered, they will just topple over. However, Hill also stated his belief that the grounds of the house held some sort of spiritual quality. So, Bob and Melissa Hill, they've been at their home for 17 years. I'm sure they listen to music on the radio. I'm sure they watch TV. But imagine looking outside your window over the course of 17 years and constantly seeing dogs just jump over the bridge. Just jump right off the bridge. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Local teacher Paul Owens argues that the bridge and nearby Overton house are haunted by supernatural activity. He claims that the dogs and other animals are sensitive to such supernatural activity, so he proposes that dark spirits are responsible for luring dogs to their death. Okay, he said, I immediately caught this. He claims that dogs and other animals are sensitive to such supernatural activity. Okay, all right. So he's saying in general. The way that I interpreted that was other animals besides dogs are leaping to their death off this bridge, which it's just dogs. There is one more thing I would like to mention here, and it is graphic. Viewer discretion is advised. I'm not even kidding. I'm serious. Viewer discretion advised for the following. In October 1994, paranoid schizophrenic Kevin Moy threw his 2-week-old son, Eogan, to his death from the bridge because he believed that his son was an incarnation of the devil due to a birthmark. He chose the location due to its association with dark spirits going back to the Druidic days. Following his act of murder, Moy then attempted to commit suicide several times by jumping off the bridge and slashing his wrists, but he was detained and placed in a mental health hospital. Yeah, that's like it's messed up enough that the dogs are doing it, but the fact that a crazy man had a child and killed his poor child is just, I just can't even. In October 2022, Heel Films used Overton House, the bridge, and the alleged paranormal activities as a basis for their 2023 short film, The Bridge, written and directed by. Okay. So yeah, that's bizarre. That is very bizarre. Like right away, I usually when I read a case, I can immediately come up with a possibility. Like even before I read the theories, I still had no clue what could possibly make dogs jump to their death. Like I know dogs are much different because they're animals, but like, all right, let's go over the proposed explanations. And I think over the last 2 minutes, I've been slowly cooking up my own theory in my head. So I will share that one with you right after we go over the first couple ones here. The one that David Sands proposed, the canine psychologist, that they think the dogs see the side of the bridge as being even ground, and then smelling mink urine, and that just being immediately draws them in, and they just jump right off the bridge. Is that possible? Absolutely. I'm not a dog psychologist. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a dog whisperer. But that sounds pretty convincing to me. Uh, let's see. I thought there was another one before the supernatural one. No. Oh, that's just the guy that said that there was no mink in the area. But then the group steps in and they're like, yeah, there is mink in the area. There are several rodents and mammals in the area. Local teacher, all the teachers, the one that said it was haunted by. Is it haunted by supernatural activity? I mean, maybe, but I would need a basis. What makes it supernatural? Like, you'd have to look into it. But then again, that crazy man who killed his poor son, he chose the bridge because he had heard about its supernatural activity going back to the druidic druidic days. So obviously, there's a lot of talk in Scotland about this bridge being supernatural. Maybe it's, I don't know. All right. I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna come up with two. I've come up with two theories. I'm talking faster than I can think. The first theory, going off of both of these, what if it is both? Furthermore, what if the dogs are smelling mink urine, but it's not actually there? Like, what if there actually isn't minks? But the supernatural activity is causing the dogs to think. That's the supernatural activity. The dogs thinking that they're smelling mink urine. And only the dogs smell it. Humans can't smell it. And it's so strong, it's so potent that it's like compelling the dogs, like, come here. You need to come. Come on now. And the dogs just jump right over the bridge. Or, again, with supernatural activity, we all know what a dog whistle is, right? It can only be heard by dogs. It's a very specific sound. And when played, it makes a dog go absolutely crazy. What if, now I know no one's mentioned sounds, but what if that's the case? Because they're just going off the smell, because dogs have a really strong sense of smell. But what if it's sound? Now, obviously, we know how dogs react when they hear dog whistles, but like, again, maybe it's like maybe it's a different type of supernatural activity that happens only to dogs, i.e., dog whistle. Maybe the dogs are hearing it. Maybe it's kind of like a dog whisper almost, and the dogs are hearing it. And maybe there's a smell. Heck, maybe they're even seeing something. Maybe it's all of it. That's my theory. What if the dogs are seeing some type of being or some type of creature, and it smells, they can see it, and it's actually giving off this sound that only a dog can hear, and only a dog can see, and only a dog can smell. And it's just so gripping, and it's so compelling that every single dog just right off the bridge. They can't help it. Is it inviting? I have to imagine it's inviting, because obviously if the dogs were terrified, they wouldn't jump off the bridge. So it has to be something that dogs like, that all dogs like, that would compel them to jump off the bridge. And I kind of hear myself saying that. Makes me sound a little crazy, but is it any crazier than the reason that we're here right now? I don't think so. Now, I would like to shed some light here. That guy who killed his son, like, that's just messed up. It's definitely a solid, it's like a totally different incident, except for the fact that even the guy said that the reason that he chose that spot, that bridge, was because he heard about supernatural activity. So I think it might actually be supernatural activity. That's my theory. I just gave it to you. And just before we close this video, I wanna state some other things here. Let's go back to how long that's been happening and the number of reporting incidents since the 1950s. Let's do our math, people. Let's do our math together right here on the air, shall we? 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. We're now into the 2020s. It's been like, that's how long it's been going on. Well, I don't know why that's sticking with me. It's just, if it was like a small, like if it was only since 2000 and it's been going on for 20 years, I don't know. I feel like I could come to terms with that. But the fact that dogs have been jumping off this bridge since the 50s just has me like, there's something otherworldly going on. It has to be. You can't. It's not as simple as dogs smelling mink urine in the air and all just being like, yep. Also, the number, over 600 dogs, 50 had died. No, I don't think, it's unfortunate that 50 dogs have died, but if you compare that to the suicide forests where bodies are found, it's a lot lower. Thank God it's only 50 out of 600, because can you imagine if it was like 50% of the dogs that jump off the bridge? Can you imagine? Like, that's crazy. Like, this whole thing is just really bizarre. I just thought of something else. Sorry, I was looking at the bridge. I will show you the picture in a minute. Um, if you heard about the reportings of the dogs since the 50s, why would you why wouldn't you put up a sign? Sorry, I'm just like zoning in and out of here. Why wouldn't you put up a sign saying, please don't walk your dog on this bridge? Right? Did I not just solve the case? Well, not solve the case, but did I not just put a damper on it? Please do not walk your dogs on this bridge. Why wouldn't you do that? Has no person thought of that? I can't possibly be the only person to think of that. It's like, oh, well, we should be able to walk where we want with our dogs. Yeah, but do I have to explain the but? But dogs have killed themselves here. But my dog should be okay. You don't know that. Just put up a freaking sign. What? Oh my god, I'm as crazy as this is, I just thought of something even crazy. Like, why haven't they put up a freaking sign? Please don't walk your dogs on this bridge for their own safety. Hmm. I usually I've frowned upon it for the last couple episodes, but I have to ask, what do you think happened? Like, what do you think keeps happening that is compelling dogs to jump off this bridge to their deaths and or serious wounds and injuries? Please do let me know in the comments on YouTube. Reach out to me. You know the deal. You won't. But this is a good enough episode where I feel like you should. I feel like you should. And I would love to hear from you. This has actually been, I can't even talk. Can't even talk. This has been Mystery Unsolved, Overtone Bridge. Do stay tuned for next week's episode where we will be talking about Barbara Newhall Follett. Who was she? You'll have to find out next week. For Mystery Unsolved, I'm Justin Bienvenu. Have a good one.